Coke. It's kind of funny. I thought this would never have any audience or like any live shows, but oddly, I'm here with my dog and my girlfriend, who is sitting at my parents' bar across the way, and my dog is at my lap. So if the tripod wiggles a bunch, it might be my gorgeous girl hitting it with her tail. I'm gonna hopefully. Oh, there she is. Yeah. Oh, no. There we go. Good girl. Anyways, so yeah, she's a German Shepherd. This is the second recording of my beautiful podcast, and all my viewers, me, and my girlfriend, down for Thanksgiving break, and I thought about it for the remainder of it. I want to do like catchy titles, intermittent fasting for Thanksgiving, Florida recount, gun control, and hunting fantasies. One, because some of them are really relevant to things I've done, dog, and then two, I mean, if someone sees a title like that, I hope that they can click and hear me talk, and then things will be great. After this one, I probably won't re-give this spiel. And, yeah, and so let's kind of hop into it. With intermittent fasting and Thanksgiving, I am by no stretch of the imagination a health guru. But, they just pulled in, I'm pretty sure. I think they did. I think I might have to cut this even shorter because I think my mom just came home from work. Regardless, no sense of the word a health guru, but my roommate, six-pack, frat guy, really into it, started doing like intermittent fasting. So we eat our last meal like 9:30, banana and peanut butter to like spike our insulin, and then we eat from like 12 to 9, and try and like go 12 to 15 hours without eating, and we cut out carbs. And I've seen from like the semester, which is like 3.5, 4 months of me doing it so far, it's been amazing. And yeah, as you can tell, my dog is pretty big and loves the attention. Oh, oh, good girl. Oh, anyways, I should have changed his title to being mauled by a big wolf. Oh. Anyways, oh, get down, good girl. I came up this last semester at like 240, which is like probably the heaviest I've ever been. I remember in high school I couldn't get past 200 till like my senior year playing football. That was like a big deal to get past that. Wasn't very good, but played D3. That's a whole other story. I want to let her out, honey. She's whining. Thank you, babe. And I like when I came home for Thanksgiving break, I was at that time 216. Now I'm definitely heavier. Coming home, it's impossible to eat healthy. My mom cooks, and we go out to eat because it's like, oh, Tommy's home and everybody's in town, so eating is part of the holidays. And I definitely don't stick to my diet then. But the intermittent fasting, when I was doing it, I feel like I saw pretty decent results. And it's weird every time I like say something that like I don't want to come off cocky, but I want like some sense of reassurance. I'm looking over to my girlfriend named Ange, and I'm just like, right, and she's like, yeah. But it really was helpful because I thought like you had to eat the rice, chicken, and broccoli 5 times a day and work out and run and all that. But then listening to people like Blake 102, which is like a big diet guy on Instagram, he eats like 1 meal a day, but it's massive. And it all comes down not to like being keto or, I mean, you can be keto and all that stuff, but like to lose weight, you have to eat at a caloric deficit. And it's hard for me because I think I'm just naturally a gluttonous, like the 7 deadly sin, where all you do is like eat, and you're like, that like describes me for whatever reason. Like when it's time to sit down and eat, oh, I can chow down. So Thanksgiving in this time of the year is hard, and I've kind of abandoned intermittent fasting for this next like this week, and then I'll go back to school and I'll try real hard, and then Christmas break will get here, and with Christmas and like Christmas cookies and all that fun stuff, I'll probably give it up. But my plan for Thanksgiving is tonight. Today is Tuesday, and thank you. I forgot what the day was, and she helped me out. But I want to eat dinner, and then Wednesday I don't plan on eating at all. I'm gonna go like a full, more than 24 hours actually, because if I stop my last meal today at like 10 o'clock, I'll eat kind of late because of it. I don't eat till Wednesday. I won't eat, and Wednesday 10 o'clock will pass. And then Thanksgiving dinner is going to be appetizers at 3, dinner at 5. So that'll be 24, a good bit past 24 hours. So it's going to be hard. I might be really cranky. Sorry, family and friends, but I'll do all right, hopefully, with that. But I want to see like how much I can put down when I'm at Thanksgiving. I'm also like really. This shirt's like used to be like fitting, but now it's like big, so it like folds up when I like sit down and slouch, and I feel like it makes me look fat. But I have lost some weight. Kids, don't think your dad was just some fat slob in 10, 20 years. Maybe not 20 years, more like 10. But yeah. So that's the plan for Thanksgiving. I've given up trying to avoid carbs being home because I like beer, and I don't ever go out in college. Like, it's pretty inconsistent, right? And she reassuring, so it's true. And this, I came home Friday night. Friday night we went to my high school football game. We won really good. Now we used to suck when I was there. Then I went to my girlfriend's brother-in-law. We're good friends. Stayed up to like 2:30, 3 o'clock drinking at a bonfire. Like crash there. Wake up at like 8:39. Roll out of bed. Like we're doing our day. Like just doing around running errands and hanging out with people. And then at night I get invited to another bonfire. Stay up to like probably about the same amount of time, 2:30, 3 o'clock, and I drank a little more, and I was just like, oh, and I've also been eating crappy, and like my body, and I'm drinking Coke, so I guess I haven't learned from these last 2 days. I feel like my body has like rejected a lot of it, like, oh, my gas has just been deadly. The Dutch ovens that have been plaguing my poor girlfriend are just horrible. And I think it's something to be definitely said about eating healthy for an extended amount of time, and then out of just nowhere, not like having my roommate watching over me, but also like willingly eat crappy. Just every time I go to the bathroom number 2, it's like just and like not to get too gross and like nasty, but it's like they smell a lot worse, I'd say. But so that like is the plan for Thanksgiving. And I hope once I get out of town and go back up there, I'll get back to eating healthy because it's just so much more enjoyable. Like, I'm talking about like eating carbs and your insulin spiking and then it crashing. Like, when I'm in Tallahassee and I eat, I'll be hungry, I'll eat, and then it's not like I'll die and crash. Down here, yesterday, I actually didn't eat breakfast, so there's some like fasting aspect of it. We went for Mexican food for my mom, got like Mexican for lunch. Then for dinner, I went with my dad. And I got Italian food. Yeah, Italian food. And then that night I hung out with one of my good friend's dad. Not even my friend wasn't even there, but hung out with my good friend's dad and drunk so much beer. That was last night. Today I was so hungover. It was and that plus like the change up in diet. Bathroom time has not been fun like it used to. I used to be like the cliche guy who goes to the bathroom, brings a phone, stays in there for 10, 20 minutes, enjoying the time. And now it's like, I'm dreading it, and it's just nasty. So, yeah, that's the plan. Got to fast heavily for Thanksgiving, and I'm going to chow down on Thursday, and then probably the day after is Friday. I'm not going to Black Friday shop. I never really do. It's not worth getting shot or getting fights over. And then I'll probably won't eat there, and then we're having, like, my own little family, like my internal family, not my girlfriend's family. Twice now someone's called me. It says you're live, so hopefully it just, like, skips over at me, like, reaching forward, but whatever. Had to delete the call. But, and then Saturday we're having my, like, internal family Thanksgiving, all, like, vegan and vegetarian food, because my mom and her boyfriend are now vegetarian. My sister is a vegan, so I'll probably have to, like, cook some ribs or something just so I can get by. And so then I think I'll probably, like, eat the day after that. But I'm definitely going to try my best not to eat all of tomorrow and all of Friday, just because I'm hoping to eat so many calories that it'll like kind of hopefully balance out, and I won't come back to Tallahassee really heavy in my room and just be like, bro, what happened? Because he definitely holds me accountable or bullies me about it. It's weird telling a joke and me laughing and your girlfriend doesn't laugh. It's, I don't know if it's a bad joke or a good joke. Anyways. The next thing I was going to talk about was the Florida recount. And on that note, my girlfriend told me a great joke. She's pointing at me to tell it. A Florida man kills a 19-foot python, and they cut it open to find what it's been eating in its stomach. And when they cut the stomach open, they find 3 unopened ballot boxes that need to be counted. I'm 21, so I was alive, but like I was like 3, 4 when the whole Bush Al Gore thing went down with the recount, and then Jeb being the governor, and like him saying the recount's over, Florida's like Republican, and like all this in the bag of chips. And so it's funny. I remember reading that in like my middle school and high school textbooks about like how that was poorly handled and how that was like a big shabazz. But at the end, Bush Jr. won, and then Bush Jr. won. Hold on one second. Tell her what I'm doing. Sorry, my mom's texting my girlfriend because she can't get through to me. But like how that was just such a big deal, and so many people were salted. They're like, "Oh, that'll probably never happen again." In Florida, there's a lot stricter rules. Ballots need to be counted by this date. It's all mechanical now, and no. This is like the second time I could vote, not counting this presidency. I could vote, and this is like the first midterm. I was like, yeah, like midterm. I mean, I voted really easy. I was like the seventh person to vote in my like voting. Like it was like a church because it like tells you. It's like, oh, it's not that bad. But like. And I was like, all right, whatever. What happens, what happens. It was like a big thing because Andrew Gillum and Tallahassee being more liberal and Gillum being from Tallahassee, it was like a big push for Gillum, and it was the whole city kind of like not shut down, but people were really like not on edge, but people were really watching their election. I voted, went to class, came home, was like whatever. Turned on television, I was like, holy cow, let's check in, and like it was close for our boy Bill Nelson, our boy Rick Scott, our boy Andrew Gillum, and our boy Ron DeSantos. Or Santos, I don't know. I called them all my boy because they were all really bad picks. Like, if you want to see how crappy Rick Scott is, it doesn't take you many Google searches. Same with Andrew Gillum and same with Bill Nelson. I don't know too much about Ron DeSantos. I don't even know his name, so, you know. But I'm a firm believer that it doesn't matter who wins. They're all going to sell you out to one corporation so they can have lax laws or whatever, and that's very apparent in the Rick Scott thing. I know most about Rick Scott, and the more I know about Rick Scott, the more I don't like Rick Scott because of the policies with the red tide. If you don't know about that, it doesn't take a lot to like look up a couple YouTube searches and have people just rant and tell you all these facts and figures and how he cut funding and how he's, basically really helped the red tide get spread and a lot less regulations to give nutrition for this deadly bacteria. Like, it's a big science thing. I won't get into it. But anyways, the recount is hilarious because I feel like you have two like main ways of looking at it, and it's typically Republican and Democrat. Democrats are like, we need every vote to be counted, so forth, etc. Like, this is democracy. Everyone needs to vote. And I'm like, I agree with that. And the other people on the Republican side are like, there are tons of rules and regulations, and this all really comes down to Broward County. And I don't know the position of the lady, but it was some lady. She was black, and why did you have to call her as black? Because she was black. And is everything right? Oh, hold on. Oh, thank you, baby. Anyways, and the problem is like there's tons of rules that votes should be in by this date, that polls close at 7, and if you're still in line, you get to vote. But so all like there's a lot of like it's all mechanical. Like I don't know how Broward County was so slow. There's counties that got hit by Hurricane Michael, got their votes in time, but Broward County, a very Democratic base, did not like get their votes in and whatever. And then you see these trucks that pull in that are uncounted ballots, pre-ballots that just never got counted. How do you have 3 truckloads of ballots that just appear that no one knew? Like, and I mean, I am definitely more conservative. That like reeks of like something fishy going on. Excuse me. But definitely like concerning, and I don't know. You always see those like I don't know what shows, I don't really watch them, but there's like drama shows about like politics, and like you see that the entire election is actually just rigged and the winners are the winners, and maybe it's like that, maybe it's not, but for 3 truckloads of ballots that like just roll in like and not be counted, it makes you wonder like if you vote early by mail or whatever, like does your vote get counted, does it get stored away? Like it was such a close election that it was like every vote counted, and I know that's such a freaking cliche, but it is true. In like swing states, if you live in like a very Republican or Democratic state, it's funny, people make the joke, I wonder how it feels to live in an actual important state when it comes to like the electoral college and voting. I mean, Florida and I don't even know, I live in Florida and we're like the biggest swing state. During like elections, we're just hammered with like people coming and trying to sway the like independent non-real party line voters, and it's just like I feel bad for people who live out in like Montana. No one cares about them. They think they're going to vote Republican or Democrat, whatever they vote, probably Republican. And they get like one ad on television or a couple ads, and that's it. Down here, you got signs, you got people like protesting, like all this so people can like get your vote, and it's just ironic and stupid. And it's like it's such a heated state. You'd think there'd be so much regulation and rules to follow for the recount, and yet again we're like the laughing stock of the nation, which is, I mean, I don't take it personal, but it is really funny to me how we have such issues counting. And then also the overseer of the election in Broward County, or the vote committee, or whatever her position was, it was that black lady. She refused to tell people how many more votes needed to be counted, which I'm pretty sure by law somebody said that it was illegal for her to do that, and if it wasn't, she needs to be like thrown in jail, or like held in court, or contempt, or whatever. There's whatever that thing. Like for some lady, just be like, hey, she's probably swinging for Gillum because Broward is a very Democratic area. But for someone to lie, or not lie, but refuse to give information when it's their job and they've been elected to do that, that's horrible. But then again, with this age in politics, I don't know, rules and how things work just have seemed so muddy since how I learned it in sophomore year American government class. But that's just horrible that she wouldn't tell. And then you have these rhetorics that are just on fire. Count every vote, and then you can't break the law. Breaking the law in like a election is like still breaking the law, in jail. And that he's already succeeded. Was it succeeded or succeeded? When they like give up, when they like have their speech, like I am succeeding, because it's like, oh, gracefully passing it on. Well, Gillum succeeded, and then he's like, whoa, a recount, and then so he unsucceeded, I guess. And so then he succeeded again. So he succeeded twice. And the same thing with Stacey Abrams in Georgia. Wasn't a big fan of her. Really against like the AR-15. I'm like, that's Georgia. Like you go, like people have them like left and right out there. Like people love their guns out there. That's a very hard position to hold in Georgia. Besides Atlanta, which is like the Democratic and highly populated area, everything else is all about like country, woods, guns, and stuff like that. But she succeeded and was like, I'm succeeding but not losing or passing it on gracefully to someone who purposely tried to like stamp out votes and this and that. And just, it's like people like, just say what you need to say and move on. You're done for the next 2 to 4 years. Call it what it is. Tone down the rhetoric. I mean, at least be like, hey, it didn't go my way. I've lost. There's some crap about how to count the ballots and recount, and I recounted it, and I still lost. And this person tried to stamp him out. Well, yeah, if you were in that position, you would do the exact same thing. I hate these like people who actually believe that, oh, if the situation was flipped and the Democrats had a small margin lead, they'd be like, oh, no, count every vote. Let's get a fair election. No, they'd be like, all right, well, he seceded. All right, I'm governor. Oh, no. You just can't have, like, what's a rural county? I don't even know. There's so many counties in Florida. And have, like, oh, you can't have, like, Okeechobee County have a recount once at 3. Like, no, they have passed. That's all on their overseer of elections. Those votes are inept. You can't, how are you going to confirm those are actual people and people not trying to swing the election and voting fraud? Like, they would do the exact same thing. Both of them have their self-interest in mind, and they pick whatever moral, high-strung, righteous rhetoric to support their current position. That is so common, and people try and act like they wouldn't do it if the situation reversed. I'm like, give me a break. They all would. So, also the recounts Nikki Davis won, and she was going for the agricultural commissioner. The guy she was running against, I don't even know his name, but he's from like my hometown, and I read a couple articles, and he was saying that he was very lenient to legislation that passed that helped big commercial farming in like the state of Florida around sugarcane and slaughterhouses in the center of the state. Basically, they put all that shitty stuff in the Lake Okeechobee, and then they've dammed it up so it goes out the rivers and like red tide blossoms. And I was like, whoa, like I'm not voting for this guy. Like I don't care. Like he doesn't vote in Congress, so like this person does is oversee agricultural in Florida. And so I voted for Nikki Davis, the Democrat. I found out she was an attorney or lawyer, and then she was like very pro-pot and all this other stuff that I kind of agreed with. And she was losing, and then by the recount, she won. But their margin, she was only won by 500. Their margins were by like in the hundreds. The margins for Nelson and Golem by losing by like thousands, 10,000, 30,000. So it wasn't like, oh, this is under 1,000. Like, oh, it was like they had lost by a small percentage, but the percentage of that was like 10, 20, 30,000 opposed to 500. So I can see how the recount would be effective in Nikki Davis's situation, but not really theirs. But still, if it's law, let them make the recount. And so I'm glad she won. Hopefully, people's like, oh, taxes are bad, and why would you want? That's going to just increase the price of food and get pushed down to the consumer. I'm like, that is true. I mean, that's like basic economics, but I don't think people realize the amount of subsidies farms get from the government, and yet they also get to pollute the waters and bloom red tide and destroy tourism for so many people. It's unreal. And so I feel if we get someone in there who can put some harder legislation in place so they can't like pollute the waters as badly and hopefully change that situation. And then also if we could get some people in here to cut subsidies for these giant commercial farms that are making tons of money, I'd be fine with it. Nikki Fried, as I'm getting flashed a little note card by my girlfriend. Nikki Fried was a Democrat who was running for agricultural commissioner. And so, like, that's my 2 cents on the recount. Florida, gotta love it. We can barely do anything right. You know, you hear all those crazy ads about, oh, I saw one, like, Florida man goes to drive-through and throws a 3-foot alligator through drive-through window. We can't, I mean, it's such a unique state. It's massive. The Panhandle, like, I sometimes refer to as L.A., Lower Alabama. Then you've got, like, Orlando, Disney World. You've got Tampa, which is a big business and port. Then you've got Miami, huge port, like Miami, like tons of sports teams all across the board. Jacksonville. It's so big and so diverse. I mean, you're going to run into problems. Not saying diversity is bad or whatnot or good, but it's just like there's a lot of people confined to a lot of small areas with a lot of different views. It's crazy. Just driving around and seeing how, like, when people get into, like, not fights, like fist fights. I was in Publix, and this lady was, like, parking, and this older black lady was parking, and this, like, white college douche was, like, laying on the horn for her to, like, hurry up and move because he was trying to make the light, and it was, like, the light was here, she was parking here, and he was way behind here. He was laying on her horn, and she, like, gets out, like, flicks him off, like, starts yelling, cursing at him, and then, like, of course, this, like, frat guy, college guy's not getting out of his car, he just wants to act tough, so she gets back in the car, and he like, honks again. She's like, F you. And it just goes to show that, like, it's a lot different, I feel, than, like, when I visited Wisconsin. Everybody I met there, they fit a very similar mold. It was like, oh, we all see things the same way, you know, hey, you know, eh. They all said, eh. I picked that up when I came home for, like, a week. It was hilarious. And that's much different in Florida, and I don't think people really take that into, like, consideration. All right, so Thanksgiving with intermittent fasting, Florida recount, and then gun control. Because I've taken a concealed carry class once with my father when I was like 17. It was really in depth, 5 hours, PowerPoint. Guy did a really good job. I had to shoot a gun once, but we shot a bunch, and, you know, went through it and, like, helped us and all that. And then again, I felt fine, but I was too young to do it. Now I'm 21. I did it with my mom. She found a guy who came to your house, brought a bullet trap, and, like, on a small .22 cap gun, and that's, like, how you hit that requirement. But it was really informative. The guy did a really good job, and, like, we talked to him, so we had a lot of prior knowledge to it from taking the class previously, but not getting the certification. And so that, to me, was, like, enough to bring up the concept of, like, gun control, because there are a lot of shootings. I mean, there was just the Oak shooting. Is that what they called it in California? The Marine who shot up that Oak bar, that college night. That happened in Tallahassee. There was a mass shooting at a yoga studio. That one I'm going to go in more depth in a second. That was, like, crazy. And then in my hometown, there was 2 people. There was, like, a gang-related targeted shooting at, like, a really nice, like, movie theater where, like, most people go and would never think, like, of gang violence, and it happened there, and, like, it was a crazy thing. So out of those 3 shootings, let's talk about the one in California, the Oak shooting. California, very liberal gun laws to the max, and yet they're still affected by it. So the question is, like, well, how much more gun rights do you want to take away for this to stop happening? Are you going to take away handguns? He had a illegal 30-round clip magazine. I have some. They're Glocks. They're very common. They fit other guns. Like, it's a very, like, there's so many of them produced. You said, oh, you can no longer have this. So you're going to go to house to house to house. They don't even track them like they're guns. They're just pieces of plastic with springs, and, like, that is what it is. And so the question to that is, like, well, what are you going to do, California? How far are you willing to take this gun control thing to ensure safety? Like, guns, I feel like, are very close to American hearts and, like, the spine of the country in some sense. And then there was a shooting at that movie theater / like, mall. That was, like, a gang-related targeted thing. Some guys were about to take smoke cigarettes outside of the TGIF. Thank God it's right at the restaurant. And some guy just came up and, like, popped 50 shots through, like, I don't know what type of gun it was, and, like, chased. It was a dad and his son. They were, like, older, and they think it was gang related and all this. And since it was in a nice movie theater and restaurant area, it made the news. It was big. It was trending on Twitter for a second, but it wasn't, like, a mass shooting, so people lost interest, which is horrible. and then it was like gang related. So that's like on the news, big news, and all this in a bag of chips. Well, then the next day I go bowling with some friends, and I run into one of my old coworkers that Five Guys, a really nice guy, but huge, massive, like 6'6", long dreads, gold teeth. If you walked up to him, you'd be like, oh my god, but nicest guy. And then so we got talking, like that popped up in conversation, of course. It was the night before, and he talked about he lives in like a much harder area. He's like, oh, you didn't hear? And I was like, no, what happened? It was like, they found a dead body in the middle of the road somewhere in like a really bad neighborhood. And what he's saying is like a lot of people think that was a guy who had shot that father, or murdered that father and son at TGIF. And I was like, holy cow, no news story, no like news article, nothing. I didn't know that. I had a whole day. No one told me that some guy had died in the hood, which one is like horrible. We only care about these things when it happens in nice affluent areas or like where like a lot of people gather. But some guy gets gunned down, and like now that case, if that is the case, he is the one who killed that father and son. Then no one's really gonna learn that the case. He is the one who killed that father and son. Then no one's really gonna learn that happened. There's no gonna be sense of justice. Like, oh, we got it. It's just gonna be like, oh, that went unsolved. The police can't say, oh, we're pretty sure that was the guy who did it. You're innocent to guilty, and dead people can't be guilty. That whole like excess tentacion thing, like he was innocent from beating his girlfriend. Well, yeah, because he died. Dead people can't be guilty. And so, but there's no news story even like educating people. Really upsetting and crazy. My good friend Trevor Glasgow. Oh wait, no, it's not. His name is not Trevor Glasgow. It's Glasgow. Oh, that's the right tackle for the Lions. That's what I got that name in. Big Kerryon Johnson fan, and he tore his ACL, so that was horrible. And but my friend, his name is Trevor. His sister was driving with her friends, and that shooting happened, and the car behind them got hit with a bullet, and they had to stay till like 4:30 in the morning and take like statements from the police, or give statements to the police. They were there freezing. It was like night, and they're cold and all this stuff, and their mom gave them a big shout out on Facebook, and was like really nice to the cops. So like it was a good thing, I guess, that came out of it, like someone actually supporting the police. And so like that's a gun control thing. Like it wasn't an AR-15 or anything like that. It was just a guy was gunning for two people who had like he had beef with. And then the third shooting, the hot yoga studio, happened in Tallahassee. One happened in my hometown and one happened in my college town. Crazy, because it happened in like a 2-story strip mall, if you can kind of imagine that. And my friend used to work at a really nice restaurant right at the end of that plaza, and the hot yoga studio was on the other end. And so when the shooting happened, people ran into his restaurant and took cover. One of his coworkers, who's like in love with him, like called him, was like, hey, there's an active shooting here, like I love you. I like spilled out her feelings for him again, and like all this stuff, like why. And like at the time we had no idea that like it was in the hot yoga studio and like the deal, but it was kind of crazy. But it was just so close to home. 2 incidents were so close to home. And that story was like the college bar Oak shooting. That guy was a Marine and this guy was a Marine. And it makes you wonder, like, how much are they abusing these poor kids? And like, not I guess abusing, but like, what are they doing to these guys while they're going through basic training? Are they just like treating them like absolute dog crap? And then they go over there overseas and see a bunch of stuff, and then they come back here, and so the last 4 or 5 years all they've seen is like the worst side of humanity, and they get back in and they're like, oh, well, the thing with the yoga studio guys was he was an incel, or what was, I don't know the term. He was like a 40-year-old virgin, and he hated women because he never was able to have sex. And so he went to that yoga studio because he knew there was going to be women there, and he shot the women. He actually pistol whipped the one guy who was there, and all this in the bag of chips. Then he killed himself on the scene. It was just horrible. One of the girls who died was a sorority sister for a big sorority on FSU's campus. And I look at it, I was like, holy cow. So I made sure this Thanksgiving we went through and got our concealed carry licenses, and then today we went to the DMV and got them, and I was like, hey, I would never like encourage fighting or like bring it out to like, hey, yeah, look how tough I am, but more in the situation like you're somewhere and someone just starts shooting up a place, you gotta like, I guess, defend yourself, not necessarily take them out, that's a bad way to look at it, but like handle the situation. Like, I've had one in my hometown. I've had one in my college town. There was one at a college bar. Like, I could name a lot more, but, like, it's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. And then for, like, the guy was talking, like, you have to be in fear for your life to pull out your gun and whatnot. He said, have you ever considered, like, carrying mace around? He shows this video of him personally macing this guy who's trying to get his mace certification to be a contractor overseas. And this guy was a huge like military guru, and they had knocked him on his butt. We could barely say his name. You fail if you dunk your head in water or grab the hose from paramedics. 10 seconds he was doing that. It was his name, like Bobby. When they asked him his name, that's how he said it. He could barely do math problems, and he couldn't cuff a guy. That was one of the things you had to do. And like failed. I'm like, oh my gosh, if some guy's like, you know, causing issues or this, that, and the other, and like fighting people, it's like that guy's fighting and like, you know, knocking over crap and people around. It's like something needs to happen. Like you can't pull out your gun and be like, hey, stop. All you gotta do is like squeeze one off, and you kill someone. Then it's like a huge legal thing. You take some mace and you spray it like across the guy's face. That dude's SOL. Like, it was amazing to see the effectiveness of mace. So, ever since then, I started carrying mace. You sold it. Oh, it's actually in my pocket, low-key. But, yeah. Mace. And we had taken some and put it in the sink, like, right on a little bit of our finger. And, like, took some, smeared it on my cheek, and my girlfriend smeared it on her eyebrow. And it burned for, like, 30 minutes. It's not, like, a hard, like, oh, my God. But, like, you could feel your warm cheek buzzing. Did someone just come home? Yeah? Oh, I think someone just rolled in. After gun control, what was that? Hunting fantasies. I don't know why she's not talking, but, you know. Yeah, anyway, so yesterday when I got really hungover, I went to my good friend's dad's house, that Trevor guy, his dad's house. And his dad, Chris, I don't like call him Chris. Not because I'm, like, disrespectful, but, like, shit, we're almost friends. And he's such a funny guy from like Wisconsin, big deer hunter, and like not deer hunter, but hunter in general, and like loves talking about it and deer, and like never really grew up with that. My parents were more in like the business realm and accounting and things like that, and so I've always like loved the concept of like the outdoors. Went hunting twice for pigs, and like those in themselves, I could talk about each one for like 10, 20 minutes. Oddly, that's the first pig I ever shot, that one up there. And he, big hunter, hogs, deer, some up north, so deer are big up there. And I just go there every time, and I was like, oh, I'm going to bring a 6-pack of beer. Last time I went over, I did that. We drank 6 beers and like talked a bunch about hunting and all like, his old stories. And I was like, gosh, I would love to do that, and I'd love to do this, get older, buy some land, go hunting, all this. But we went to like CVS, and they had no 6-pack of Coors Light. That's what he likes to drink. But they had this 18-pack. And I was like, we'll maybe drink like 6, maybe a little more. Well, we get going there, and like we're just sitting there and talking and drinking. And it went by pretty quick, would you say? Yeah, she nods her head yes. And next thing you know, I'm like putting the last 2 beers in the freezer to cool them down before like we have them. And I'm like, wait, what? I'm like, we've both had 9 beers already? And then as I'm starting to like realize, like, I'm kind of pretty drunk right now. And I'm like, oh crap, he's got to catch a flight in the morning to New York, and he's got to be up at 4. And now I feel like a dick. And so I'm like, oh, so we drink the last 2, and I'm trying to make an urge go out. He's like, hold on. He brings out this VO whiskey and pours it in some Sprite. He's like, here. And so now we're drinking like hard liquor. And I got no problem saying I can't hang. We were drunker than skunks at his house. But which was great and hilarious and funny, and we were sending pictures to his son, who was like making fun of us and laughing at us. But like the most enjoyable thing about it for sure is that like we just sit there and we talk about like his favorite parts of hunting, and from hunting in Florida, different personalities, and like the good, the bad. And we once went out to a hunting lease, me and him, a friend owned, and celebrated his son's birthday. And 2 of the guys who went out there were just the biggest D-bags. His son had killed a really nice sized pig. And his dad walked up and was like, well, clean it and gut it. And he's like, his son was young, cutting into this really tough animal with a sharp knife. And he's like, well, can you help me? And he's like, you got to learn. And I've never shoot pigs. I only shoot deer. I don't know how to do it. And just leaves his son and starts like cooking hamburgers. And I'm just like, what? Like, biggest D-bags. So we go, and like Trevor's dad is like helping this guy cut the pig and, you know, gut it and all this. I'm just like, and so we have to leave, and like the kid's halfway done. Like, that poor pig's probably gonna go to waste. This kid has no idea what he's doing, and this dad's being a dick. Like, I can only imagine, like, that's your role model, your mentor for life in a lot of senses, and that's the guy you get stuck with. That sucks. And so like, but that, like, even though that happened, it was amazing to ride around on 4-wheelers. We shot a rabbit and ate that. I got really drunk and was like, held the rabbit on the 4-wheeler and like almost held it, like I was holding it like this and petting it. I was really intoxicated and really, really drunk. and it was just so much fun. And so then about like before summer ended, I killed a pig in my mom's back lot. We kind of live more out in the country, and Trevor came over and taught me how to did it basically for me. You can only take so much in. Gutted it, and like he helped me butcher it, and the next day we had it and ate some, and then I already eaten that pig. But like the thing I like hunting about is like you get to actually eat what you killed. And talking to Trevor's dad, he like, yeah, I enjoy that, but he's like, some of my best memories in life were at deer camp. It's like, what do you mean? He's like, I've been places where the deer camp was, the smallest one was like a 12 by 16 foot BS shed. You walked in, there was a couch, and 2 sets of bunk beds, and a small table, and that's all it was. And he said he'd had some of the best times there. And you'd think like you'd go bored living in there. He's like, no, you're always outside. You're hunting during the day. You're out there sitting on like really crappy plastic furniture out by a fire, drinking beer, having a good time, and then you just sleep in there and like mess around. He said like that was what to him was like the best part of deer camp, and going to that lease with him and seeing how those guys were so very off and distant and being dicks and horrible dad to his son. Like I was like, ugh, maybe hunting leases aren't like the way to go. But he said he told me that you do get some guys like that. They're not all that horrible. But he said nothing's best than like owning your own land or being on a lease with like you and 3 other buddies, and you can only bring one person out at a time, and you have to get it approved by other people, so that like you don't want, that was a huge lease with tons of people who were able to go on and off. Like you have no idea like who's hunting what areas. If you like put the time and money out there to invest in building a food plot for deer, and then someone overhears you at the camp talking about it, and the next morning they find it and they sit on it and kill your deer that you've been trying to maintain, like it's just not worth it. And I'm like, wow, that would suck if like you put all that work to like put a food plot and do all this, and some guy who's like a dick who only shoots deer, doesn't even help his son out, comes and shoots a really big deer that you've been helping like grow and maintain. Like that would just piss me off. But even with that bad memory aside, I had a like time when we were at that hunting lease. I still had a great time at the hunting lease. Like, oh, it was amazing. And then like when I get older, like like in Florida, you can kill as many pigs as you want. They're like rampant down here. They're a nuisance. They're all right, we're back. Sorry. Anyways, when I get older, you can kill as many deer in Florida as you want. You can kill a couple, or you can kill as many hogs as you want. You can kill a couple deer. As I get older, I'd love to be able to like majority of my meat-based meals. Like, oh, for dinner we're having like a big roast of a deer not backstrap, but like ham and so forth. But try and eat as much meat as possible. Not that I killed. Not rely on going to the supermarket and getting your antibiotic stuffed, steroid filled beef steak that a cow lived in like 4 feet of its own poop from the like last couple years of its life, so it could grow big and fat. Like I like that to me, like it's just really inhumane and horrible. You don't know where it comes from, and it's like that's the goal of like me hunting. Also, it's a great thing to pass on to your kids, a lot of knowledge. And if things ever did go like south, like oh, North Korea invaded, and we couldn't, you had like food cards, you couldn't eat, like go out to the woods, kill something, butcher it, eat it up, and like that probably would never happen. But it's a cool thing to think about in the back of your head. And also, it's like really relaxing. And like when I put my first tree stand out there when we killed that pig, it's actually the backyard is that way, so that's why I'm pointing that way. It was a lot of fun, a lot of hard work, and like I look back on it very memorably. I learned a lot. When I would go up there and sit for hours and see absolutely nothing, it was still like enjoyable because I'm like on the edge of my seat. I saw like an otter, and even like the squirrels in the tree were cool to look at. Like, I'll tell you what, when that first pig walks out, whew, it was fun. So like the goal I was talking to him one day was be like buy like 40, 50, 60 acres, maybe even 75, and like have some deer on it, have some pigs on it, and like plant a couple things so you can have like dove, because I think dove and like bird hunting would be really cool. Have a couple shotguns and whatnot, and be like make a lot of dove jalapeno poppers. Oh, that sounds so good. But having that fantasy for a while, but have something like that, and like maybe me like buy it so you're like the owner and have to deal with a lot of stuff. And then like lease it out to like a friend or two, be like, hey, we're gonna like really take care of this. You guys are gonna pay me like just barely enough to, like not even not to break even on the property taxes, but just something, so it's not like you guys are getting a free ride, and people actually take like some ownership sense of the land, and just put a couple food plots out there. Like don't hunt for a year or two, and just like let the deer grow real big and get accustomed to that area, and then just when like deer season rolls around, always take a good buck each year, kill a couple pigs, go dove hunting, and just stock the meat freezer essentially. That's kind of what I want to do, but it's such a learning experience. All of it. That's another thing me and Chris talk about. Trevor's dad, the guy I got hella drunk with yesterday, is the barriers to entry. Like, you ain't got somebody if you don't got nobody. If you ain't got nobody who's like there to teach you, like, hey son, this is how you hang a tree stand. It takes you 2-3 hours to hang a tree stand, sweating, like just drenched, covered. That's how it was, and it took me like 2-3 days to actually do it. I mean, I didn't know what I was doing. I built a tree stand, and then I had to find like a decent tree, and I couldn't find like a tree big enough or small enough, and then I finally found one, and oh, it was a bear. The gutting of the animal. If Trevor wasn't there, that I would have had no idea what to do, but all that is so uber important, and like if you're not born in a family that does it, it makes it so hard. And that hog I showed you up top in my parents' bar, I killed at my friend's lease when I was like still in middle school. I was real young. His dad invited us out. I shot it, and they gutted it, and they did it all. Me and my dad were there. My dad was like, I got no idea how to do any of this. Like, we sat back and watched them like gut it and clean it and do all this, and they're like, it's a real nice pig. You should probably look into like getting a taxidermied. And we were like, sure. So we did that, and it's up on the wall. Like, that was all great and fun, but the pig I shot out there I probably remember so much better just because of all the hours of sweat equity in it. Like, Thermacell, those beautiful things that keep the mosquitoes away. I had used one when we went hunting for that one, but it'd been like 5+ years since I've used it again. So like you pop the little oil cartridge in. Oh, that looks dirty. You pop the oil cartridge in, and then you turn it on, and this little light pops on. Well, I didn't know you're supposed to pop it in and then spin it so it like tightens up. And there's a little light. If that light's on, then it's working. I didn't know that. For like 2 days, I was getting bit by mosquitoes. I was like, what the heck is going on? So then I YouTubed it. I was like, oh my gosh. And that was like another thing, you know. The pain and suffering made the pig taste that much better. Excuse me. Typically, I was thinking I should always like have some form of a drink, like alcoholic, in these, just so like the buzz would eventually kick in and like words would start to flow easier. But I'm so hungover and my bowel movements are so painful today because of all my great food choices. Like, alcohol right now just looks disgusting, and I want no part of it. So yeah. So we've talked about intermittent fasting for Thanksgiving, talked about the Florida recount, talked about gun control, talked about hunting fantasies. I probably could have talked the entire time about hunting fantasies and what I want, because I also would love a boat and go to mini-season lobstering. So I want like a bunch of acres to go hunting, also like a small house in the Keys so you can go lobstering. But all that requires like time and a lot of money. As my girlfriend's over there like, yeah, money. But like, I don't know. Hopefully, you know, college goes well, get a good job, invest, you know, probably do something on your own if you really want to make a lot of money. And like, but at the same time, I don't know, I feel like everybody's stuck in like, even when they're like the rat race, having to live paycheck to paycheck, and even people who aren't having to live paycheck to paycheck, like my parents own a business, and they're not paycheck to paycheck, I would say, but they're so busy with their business. Like, how do you set processes and procedures and teams up so it's like you can, hey, there's times I need to be here, and there's also times where I can go away for a week and mini season, or oh, first day of opening deer hunting season in Florida, go to the hunting property. Oh, go kill a pig this weekend, and so forth, etc. And not so forth and etc. And not have to be on call and like having to run and gun and worry about the business. Of course, if you start a business, there's gonna be a lot of that in the beginning, but like, hopefully as time goes, you can like make a lot of money and kind of turn it into like a process and procedure, so it's not wearing on you and like just horrible and like sucking the life out of you and making you so tired that you're not enjoying the benefits of living because all you do is work. I'm speaking like a true millennial, afraid of hard work and wasting away my life. I had a lot of great political talks, and it's only Tuesday, right? It's only Tuesday. Had one really good one with my girlfriend's brother-in-law. Had a really good one with my dad. And we're at 45 minutes right now. I could stretch it for an hour, but I probably won't. I'll probably just give like a quick spiel about like some of the things we talked about. Was like, and the main one was like Social Security. I feel like I may have talked about this in the last video. Did I? But like, millennials often are so heavily accused of being socialistic and we're a bunch of like commies and you just guys want a free ride. And then at the same time, I look at Social Security, free paychecks. So why put money in back then? Well, you gave money to the government to invest it for you and expected that to be your retirement. And there's a lot of holes in that, like giving the government extra money to invest on your benefit. Typically, not the best strategy in my opinion. And there's a lot of studies, if those people would invest the same money with a private firm, they would have done a lot better. And Social Security's bankrupt because the politicians stole the money from it, which all that is true. But the point of it being is he's got these people with a Social Security thing that's bankrupt that expect these younger generations to get taxed for Social Security and paid for their retirement. So they're basically getting a free paycheck. Then when these younger kids who realize this is going on, or for whatever reason, they want some free college and some other stuff, you're like, no, you're a socialist, and you that's bad. You free stuff, you got to earn it. I'm like, okay, there's paychecks you just, and a lot, like in my opinion, and this was true in the talk I had with her brother-in-law, a lot of people of that age didn't save properly for retirement or on their own. If they did, it was very minuscule. That is because they figured Social Security would be there and that would take care of them. And basically, it all went south. Government stole the money, and it's not there. Now they're requiring Social Security is basically run by the money on the coming in, and as more baby boomers retire, it's just going to get worse. So you've got these older generations looking at us, calling us socialists because we want a free education, which I understand free education wouldn't work, not because of the money aspect of it, just the supply and demand. If you said free college, so many people would go to college. FSU, UF, Miami, all these like big schools in Florida. There's not enough seats, online classes to fit the demand. These colleges would be like swamped. There'd be nowhere they could do it. The quality of education would go way down. The money argument, we can't afford it, that's not really true. We spent $167 billion on our government. Or not our government, on our military. Our military is very bloated. A lot of opinions on that for like a later video. But that was like the big spiel about Social Security. So, yeah. And then another one I had was about the fires, not political, just the fires in California. Thoughts and prayers out there. It looked horrible, but someone was talking about how are these houses destroyed and burnt, but the trees are still fine. I always thought trees lasted because as fires naturally go through, it burns the underbrush, and these trees have evolved to like withstand fire. But the person I was talking to thought it was like a conspiracy against Trump and blah blah blah. Who knows what it really was? I think it was just fires, but that was like a weird political conspiracy theory I got involved with my dad. He was like a very pro-Trumper, and like we get into political talks, and sometimes I just beat him around with like, no, then if you feel that, why didn't you feel this way when it happened on the Republican side, and vice versa, and like it's just so funny for him to see like not me like insult him or yell at him, but he'll say something like, I agree with what you're saying in this way, but why are you for it now but not for it when the Democrats did it, and vice versa. And I do that with a lot of people, even with like topics that aren't political. And it's so interesting with the conversation about Social Security with my girlfriend's brother-in-law. We also got into other things about like marijuana and parenting, and it was just very hypocritical. Not hypocritical, what she was admitting, because like not because he smoked. She said, "Oh no, it'll be legal by then," but legal by then, which probably will, illegal now. But it was hypocritical because like, oh, if I caught my son smoking behind my back, I'd be really upset. I'd beat him up, not beat him up, but like discipline him. But also, if I caught him and he proved me right, I'd prefer him do that. And I was like, wait, it doesn't matter what he does. If he's get caught behind your back, you're gonna beat him up. But if he does it, then you're gonna be happy if he shows you that he's able to like have that maturity level. So there was a lot of holes there that I was exploiting, and I was just like, that don't make sense, man. And like people who start talking over you and have to like explain their points even better, typically that I feel that's when like things start to unravel for them, and you just kind of sit back and just keep asking very precise little questions, and that just kind of destroys what they're saying. But like, I mean, still a really good guy. He's really smart. Shout out to that dude. It's 49 minutes now. Holy cannoli. Has it seemed like 49 minutes? Am I like am I pooping on your brother-in-law? No, okay. We were just having like an argument about like weed and like, you know. Yeah, so I think that should cover it for now. There's actually so much more I could talk about that's popping into my head right now, but my throat is already kind of raspy, and I'm only drinking Coke, and Thanksgiving's coming up, and I have to like save all this great talking points for them. After Thanksgiving, I'll probably get like to talk to a lot of people and great conversation, and I'll probably have to definitely record it on this. Oh, and thanks again for the 0 people who have followed this not subscribed to this podcast besides me and my girlfriend. Thank you for the 0 viewers and the 0 likes. Loving it. I'm just kidding. But until next time, kids, if you're watching this, Dad loves you. Yes.